Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the July 23rd meeting of the San Dimas Rotary. My name is Steve Scott. I will be acting as the substitute teacher this week as Mike Wallace is out of town. Thanks everybody for joining, and we apologize for the technical difficulties we had with the Zoom link, but very glad to see everybody has been able to get in. Let's go around the room and give everybody a chance to introduce themselves. Isabella Foster, how are you today? Oh, muted. Let's move on. Elizabeth Sachs, how are you today?
I am fantastic. Nice to see everyone. Happy to be here, as always.
And we are happy that you're here. Hey, Doran, good to see you.
Hey, everybody. Good to be seen. Doran Barnes with Foothill Transit. And glad to be here. And like everybody, I'm having tech problems too, but away we go. Technology is great,
Away we
except when
go
it's not.
indeed. Thanks, Doran. Glad you're here. Hi, Sylvia. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Steve? My
Doing
name is
great,
Sylvia.
thank you.
Good. My name is Sylvia Melendez. I'm the CEO of the San Dimas Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here, Sylvia. Hey, Anthony, good to see you.
Hello, good to see everybody as well. Current president of Laverne San Dimas Educational Foundation, a few other hats as well. Glad to be here today.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And Marilyn Sparks, good to see that smiling face.
Hello, Marilyn Sparks with Farmers Insurance and Los Angeles County Insurance Commissioner and a bunch of other committees. I'm grateful for another day. Thank you.
All right. And I'm guessing back at work now. Sean Casey, how are you, sir?
Great. So I'm Sean Casey, principal of Chaparral Vista High School. Good afternoon, everyone. And it's good to be back and it's good to see everyone.
Great to see you, Sean. And last but not least, Raymond Foster, how are you, sir?
Excellent. And by the way, Anthony, if you want to borrow another hat, I've got plenty behind me, as you can see. So you can
Thank
have
you,
that
Raymond.
bright red one. It would look good on you.
Oh, and Glenn Johnson's here. Hi, Glenn. How are you?
I made it. I made it.
Well, happy to see you. Again, thank you, everybody, and appreciate your patience while we got our glitches worked out. Great to see everybody's faces after a couple weeks off. Let's move on to the portion of the meeting that gets us all here, and that is our speaker. This week, we are fortunate enough to have Lisa Kirkwood with us. Lisa is a respected speaker, author, and expert in cross-cultural communication with more than 30 years of experience working throughout Europe and the United States. Her expertise lies in helping organizations decode the subtle cultural cues that shape human interaction in today's global business landscape. Lisa, thank you so much for taking time. Thank you very much for being patient. And we're very much looking forward to your presentation. Take it away.
All right. Thank you for having me, guys. Yes, I am Lisa Kirkwood. I am a speaker, author, and consultant. My specialty is cultural diversity and cross-cultural communication, as well as team building, leadership, and empowerment. Because these topics actually converge, and they're good not only for businesses, but also for nonprofit organizations and educational institutions, because we are working with diverse groups of people now, especially in this global market economy. And there are differences, cultural differences and cues that we might miss out at first, and those can cost dearly. So with that being said, the title of today's presentation is Lost in Translation, What We Miss When We Don't Understand Each Other. And for this, I would like to use again the analogy of the iceberg. You know, the tip of the iceberg, and most of what lies beneath the surface is invisible. So in other words, what you see and say sometimes, or what you hear, is not what you get. Because behind every statement, there's a cultural nuance that might be hidden at any given moment, especially when you're talking with people from different backgrounds. Now, when you say something and the person that the message is intended for suddenly takes offense or they become defensive, you can pretty much figure out that the cue was missed. So what to do in that case? Ask clarifying questions or make clarifying statements, especially when you work with a diverse group. So if you feel that something has been rubbing you the wrong way, it's okay to pause and say, Mr. or Miss so-and-so, just to make sure that I understand you clearly. Is this what you meant? XYZ. Because I don't want to misunderstand and think that, whatever you felt offended by or upset by or confused by. And they will fill in the necessary information. Now, this can take on the mantle of microaggressions quite frequently. And a lot of people take this very, very personally. So let me give you some concrete examples of what I mean by that. Say, for example, the highly sensitive topic of race. There was once a panel of executives or educators, and they were like half and half, people of color and whites. And one white lady on the panel said, I do not see colors. By that, highly meaning that I don't care what color people are, I treat everybody the same. That was the original meaning, I'm pretty sure. To which a gentleman of color in the panel, he said, what do you mean you don't see colors? If you don't see colors, you don't see me. And he became upset about that. So this is one example of misintended messaging, microaggression. Now, this can also take the form of a cultural miscommunication. One example from my own personal track record, even though I am a twice award winner of cultural diversity in corporate America, even a specialist in the cultural diversity like myself can say the wrong thing at the wrong time to the wrong people. So I was in a team at one point, and I had a Vietnamese coworker. And Vietnam I must say, is one of those cultures that we don't know as much about compared to, say, China or Japan. But one thing I knew about Vietnamese food, because I had got to a Vietnamese restaurant and I loved the food. So you can start the conversation very well on food grounds. This is a great icebreaker. So if you don't know something or you don't know much or anything at all about the foreign culture, if you interact with a foreign national, you can start the conversation like that. So what's the best food? What would you recommend to a foreigner like myself? What should I try? And that gets the conversation going. So on the food thing, I could have said it like it was. I went to this Vietnamese restaurant. I can't say that I know a lot about Vietnam, but I love the food. And that could have started a conversation on a much different note. But here's what I said instead. Yeah, I love the Vietnamese food. Do you own that restaurant? And his face just changed colors. He's like, come on, Lisa, you can do better than that, basically. Because that was another microaggression. And he went on to explain to me, as an Asian person, I've heard it all. If I own a restaurant, if I know karate, if I do this, if I do that. And sometimes I try to ignore them, but sometimes it gets to me. So what did I do? I apologized immediately. I had not realized it was so offensive to him. And I tried to make amends. And I actually told him, I'm sorry for the misunderstanding. How can I make it right? And then we started talking about our cultures. And he told me a few things about his family and about his journey to America from Vietnam. I told him a few things about myself and my journey from Romania to the US. And then I found out that he likes chocolate, pastries, and specialties from Europe. And since I do often shop at European grocery stores, I'm like, Bill, okay, let me get you a nice chocolate from the European store so I can make up for the misunderstanding. And that I did. And ever since then, that incident, every time I would go to the European grocery store, I would set aside a few bucks for a chocolate for my coworker because I wanted to make nice on the stupid thing that I said. And again, this comes from a diversity expert. Imagine on a day-to-day conversation how many miscommunications can happen. Another word of advice when you talk to Asian cultures, okay, people from Asian cultures, there is such a thing as a low culture, low context culture and high context culture. The Americas and the European cultures are considered low context because they are very direct and to the point. So what time is the meeting? How much money do you make per month? What is your wife's name? Stuff like that. In Asia, many Asian cultures, this would be considered too direct and extremely rude. So instead of asking how much money you make per month, a person from Asia, from a traditional upbringing, would try to get to know you. First, tell me about your family, tell me about your culture, let me tell you about mine, and the conversation can go on for hours. It's a very good way to explore and discover, but don't expect business to be done quickly, because it won't be done and you're going to be flagged as a rude person. So you're going to go through these machinations and you're going to learn a great deal about the other person, and they're going to learn a great deal about you, until the question comes up again, if it needs to be exchanged, how much money you make or how much money they make. So that's something to say about the low context and high context culture. One other thing that I like to point out, and this has been the bone of contention for thousands of years, translations from religious texts. Think about the Bible and how many misinterpretations and how many disputes and how many conflicts happen because of what they call the wrong translation. So because the languages that the Bible was originally translated into, some of them were lost, or the contexts have been misinterpreted because the language itself is no longer spoken or disappeared altogether, or very few people are knowledgeable about it. A lot of people argued that the original meaning of a certain word was lost. And because of that, they debated until they're blue in the face to try to make a point. And I say this is the wrong approach, because unlike a day-to-day conversation where you can actually ask the person, is this what you meant? Help me understand, just so we avoid miscommunication. In the Bible, in the case of the Bible and other holy texts written a long time ago, you can't really ask the original authors what they meant. But in this case, people just go to war because they can't figure out the true meaning of things. So with the Bible, I have one thing to say, and any other religious texts. If there are indeed different gods, let them sort out disputes among themselves, because they are powerful enough to sort out disputes in their own heavenly realm. Okay, as people, we have rent to pay, we have grocery prices that are spiking, and we have other things to deal with. If the gods are different, but if it is only one God and everybody is in the pursuit of the same God, then why are we fighting for? That's very, very unpractical. So in order to channel our frustrations and our unconsumed energy, let's find more worthy causes than religious disputes. That will be one example of lost in translation. Of course, there are many other situations. There are a lot of microaggressions that happen. For example, my stepdad would tell me often that I would do well in a profession as a decorator. I didn't even know what decorator was, but I felt so boxed in. That was like microaggression with the best intentions, because he then went on to explain to me that this is a profession for women. And I'm like, is there such a thing as a profession for women and profession for men? I don't want to do any decorating. I want to teach languages. I want to make movies. I want to write books. I want to do whatever I want to do. And that's another example. This is gender microaggression. And then there's also another one on gender. I heard this say, there was a straight person and a gay person, and the straight person, not realizing that he's talking to a gay person, said, what a gay sky today. I'm guessing it was cloudy. It was, I don't know what was wrong with or different with the sky that day, but how is that cool to say what a gay sky to a person who is not straight, who is LGBTQ? So things like that happen. And I would like to end on a more business-like note, commercial. Back in the prior administration, when DEI was all the rage and everybody was trying to be fashionable, Budweiser and Jaguar, they came out with some ads that featured LGBTQ people. And those ads, because the company, I guess, meant well, they wanted to be on the proper bandwagon and make sure that they are politically and socially correct, they featured minority people from the LGBTQ community. But those ads backfired so bad to the straight majority that these companies, Budweiser and Jaguar, ended up losing many, many millions of dollars. And I found that out from actually an investor who was following their stocks. So that was one example of miscommunication, because if you cater to that particular segment, the LGBTQ people, then yes, make an ad that is customized for them. But if you expect the white majority, the straight majority to embrace the minority and embrace your product, you're in for a rude awakening. So this is where I come in, where I teach educators and HR managers and event planners and team member resource group coordinators what are the subtle differences between cultural nuances within the same team or across different teams, either across the different desks and cubicles or across borders, because I also work with international teams and individuals of different backgrounds and walks of life. So I hope that was enlightening of what miscommunication can be and that it can happen to anyone. So in order to avoid business losses, lack of trust, lack of productivity, miscommunication, just get a little bit of proper training and at the very least do some research if you're interacting with the person from a different culture, and even that, take it with a grain of salt. And you can tell that person, hey, I did some research on Google about your country. It says this, that, and the other. Can you tell me more? Is it true? You'll be surprised that they bring their own interpretation and their own nuance to the table. So this is what I had to say today. That spoke the True Stories merchant. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Really appreciate your presentation. Even on the most simple level, my wife is the daughter of Cuban immigrants. And when I first started dating her, understanding things like sarcasm don't translate often from culture to culture and language to language makes you understand how you have to watch how you communicate differently with different people. My question for you is, do you think that the fact that we communicate so much more via text and email, where it's really difficult to figure out tone and intent, has made that communication even more of a challenge when you're communicating with different cultures?
I would say it depends on the culture and the context, because again, if you have to convey a very brief business message to the point, hey, the meeting is today at noon, and this is the Zoom link. That's not much of a miscommunication here. It's very straight to the point. If it becomes more personal, more culturally nuanced, that's when misunderstanding can happen. But that happens. That goes the same way if it's verbal or if it's written. If you feel that what you say might have been misinterpreted, or what you are receiving on your end irks you in some way, please feel free to shoot a text back and say, hey, am I understanding correctly? Is this what you really meant? And that will clear a lot of confusion.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Do we have any other questions for Lisa?
I do.
Yes, Marilyn.
Well, first I wanted to share living in my own diverse family and assumptions that are made. My father is Spaniard. My mother is Mexican. And so their food choices are different. Not every Hispanic eats tortillas, which my mother found out that my dad ate bread and butter, not tortillas. So my question to you, Lisa, is what made you decide to get into this field and make a difference?
Oh gosh, this actually is decades old. I come from Romania, which used to be behind the Iron Curtain with the Cold War and communism versus capitalism. So in the early 90s, December 1989 to be exact, is when communism fell in Romania. And our culture, we have always been fascinated by different people because we were so boxed in and so isolated from the world that we appreciated and embraced and were overjoyed by anything that was foreign in any way. It was instantly cool. Anyone who looked different, anyone who spoke a foreign language, and we loved also foreign culture. During communism, especially the last few years of communism, the propaganda was so oppressive, they had stopped doing translations of universal literature. We could not find William Shakespeare or French authors or American authors books. They were sold under the table in small limited numbers. And as soon as communism fell, that was the first cultural explosion we experienced in Romania. Just absorb as much foreign culture as we can. And that was 1990. Today is 2025. So all these decades I've spent specializing in cultural nuances, cultural differences. I speak several languages, and that gives me access to the culture of those countries. And I came to the US, and I didn't think much about my background until my former corporate job manager, she pointed out, wait a minute, you have something here. We are here in a homogeneous group, and we could benefit from this overview of the world that we didn't know much about. And I did a series of cultural diversity presentations as well as financial literacy presentation. And I have 2 awards to my name in corporate America for cultural diversity. So this goes as far back as my preteen years. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
Sure, thank you.
Thanks for the great question, Marilyn. Any other questions for Lisa?
Yeah, Steve, this is Doran.
Yes, Doran.
Hey, Lisa, thanks for the fascinating presentation. I'm curious, and not wanting to get political, so kind of steering away from that, but how has your work changed in the last 6 months or so?
I had to basically reframe the message. So instead of DEI, that had become such a cursed word and a scapegoat for a lot of other shortcomings, instead of diversity per se or DEI, I call it cultural diversity, which is a lot less threatening than DEI. And then cross-cultural communication. And this is how I rebranded. It's the same thing. And it's very interesting. Thank you for the question, because I was talking to some city clerks, and they said now that unless they reframe their request for grants, they don't put diversity, they put anything like community engagement or leadership classes, they won't get the funding. So it comes to this. It's the same thing in a lot of circumstances, but people had to rebrand it. Even cultural institutions, colleges and stuff, they don't call it diversity anymore. They call it community engagement. They just have to change the words, excise them, do a little tweaking, a little changing, adding, deleting, and just to deliver the same message, but in a different code. And I think once the mud settles and the water clears, I think this new approach is probably going to stick better in the long run, because to be quite honest, diversity was being the DEI, and especially racial diversity. That's why a lot of people get confused. They think diversity is only racial and they've had enough, especially if they don't belong to a racial minority. And a lot of that was because it was too much imposed. And when people had the chance to do away with it, they said enough diversity, enough racial diversity, enough gender diversity already. Let's just do things the proper way, the straight way, the right way, the whatever. So the solution is not to deny one thing and accept the other completely. Is to get back to the dialogue table and just find the middle ground, because we need to speak with each other, we need to work with each other, but we have to find that common ground of understanding.
Great, thanks for clarifying the pivot. It's continues to be really, really important work, and the work has to continue. The way it gets framed shifts.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, the same problems that businesses have faced before the DEI was ostracized, they are the same problems in the workplace. They have racial discrimination, gender discrimination, cultural discrimination, and they have very expensive lawsuits. It accounts for $500 million to $1 billion annually, workplace lawsuits brought by employees who are not acknowledged, trained, they are being offended, they are being discriminated against, and the same issues are there. So the businesses that had a budget for DEI, now they just need to reframe that thing, but don't do away with the training, because the teams are going to benefit and the business is going to benefit by saving money from lawsuits and just increase productivity. Because again, you cater to a diversified segment. Just because you turn your head the other way, that doesn't mean there is no diversity in your team, in your leadership, in your market segment, in your community altogether. So you have to cater to those, but just reframe it so you're now more politically correct.
Great, thanks.
Excellent. Great question, Doran. I was wondering the same thing. Thank you for asking that. Any other questions before we let Lisa go?
I have one.
Yes, Sean.
So being a principal, Lisa, good question. Obviously, we're diversified in culture here. And what I notice is obviously changes in, you mentioned, wording and reframing and things like that. But with your experience, what have you seen based on the change of the levels of sensitivity between people? What does that look like?
If you're talking from a practical standpoint, the people who were so easily offended because of DEI before, they may think twice before bringing a lawsuit because now they know they may not have the same understanding that the prior administration did as far as opening a lawsuit on racial grounds, for example. So that doesn't mean that they don't feel the same way. They may feel hurt or offended or marginalized, but they might externalize that in a different way. So, like I said, the same issues persist, but they have to be addressed in a different manner. People are entitled to their opinions and feelings. Don't get me wrong. It's not just because now the administration says don't feel diverse anymore that people are going to stop being diverse. That's not going to happen. There are as many cultural diversity nuances as there are people. And last I checked, there are about 8 billion of us on the planet. So, yeah, it depends on the person and the context and how far they are willing to take it, really. Because a lot of times, instead of being offended or jumping to a lawsuit, you can just ask a clarifying question, and an apology would work miracles. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that could be offensive or hurtful. So, yeah, let me rephrase that, or just I apologize. I'll be sure not to make this kind of statement again anymore. And that's it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Lisa, thank you so much for your presentation. Everybody, thank you for the wonderful questions. Really appreciate everything that you're doing and enjoyed the fact that you were with us today. Thank you so much.
All right, sure. And I'll put my information in chat if anyone wants to connect.
Oh, fantastic. That would be great.
All righty, thank you. I'll stick
right.
around with you guys
Okay.
if that's okay.
Excellent. I am going to skip over our fine master today because at 11:20, Raymond Foster sent an email out that reads, "Our club received a $120,000 grant. The only way you are going to know about this is by attending the meeting today." So Raymond, we're here. Tell us what's going on.
Well, I worked very hard and I did work hard. And the next piece in this is actually the more difficult part, but we have a $10,000 a month Google AdWord budget for feeding military families. And so that means that we can create and use up to $10,000 a month to target ads. They specifically want us to do fundraising. And they specifically want to do fundraising and raising volunteers and awareness, but mostly fundraising. And so I don't know what, pardon me, $10,000 a month translates into real income for the foundation, but it should be quite a bit. I have an email out to an individual who does this for a living. And what I've asked them to do is, rather than just turn this project over to them, I'd like them to become a Rotarian and join the Noon Club. And so I'm going to reach out to a couple of our members who know who I've been talking to and ask them to also contact this individual because I think they'd be perfect for managing this for us. But it's an opportunity to turn, I don't know what $10,000 a month in Google AdWords, but it's got to turn a lot of stuff for the foundation. So that's the news.
That's fantastic. Thank you for all the work you did on that, Raymond. I mean, I don't know how you monetize that in terms of ad work, but it's better than zero. So I mean, 10,000 seems pretty impactful. So really excited to see what that leads to. Excellent. Thank you very much. As far as other things we have going on, and Raymond, I'll let you get to a couple what you have in a moment. I just want to remind everybody that September 13th is our first real fundraiser in quite some time. That is our first annual cornhole tournament that will be held at Laverne Brewing. It is $100 per two-person team. We are hoping to get somewhere in the 30 to 50 team range. That would make this a success. Entry includes a raffle ticket and a beer per person at the brewery. Obviously, after that, more can be purchased if interested. What we are looking for are two things. Number one, entries, people who are interested in participating. Um, and Raymond's going to be sending out a link, I believe. I don't know if he has already. There's a Facebook link advertising, and then we also have a link, I believe, with help from Sylvia, where people can actually pay online to sign up. We very much want to get prepaid entries here. If people say they're going to show up and pay at the door, they're less likely than if they're financially committed going in. So if you know anybody who either really loves cornhole or really loves beer or just wants to come hang out and contribute to what is going to be a worthwhile fundraiser, considering 51% will go to our feeding military families. The other funds will be used for things that we do within the community, like teacher mini grants. So if you have anybody who might be interested in playing, it should be a great day and a lot of fun. Also, we are looking for donations for prizes. This is incredibly important. Anything you can do to help restaurant gift certificates, sports tickets, whatever. Anything you have, we can use. If you have any ideas, if you have any contacts that you'd like me to make, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to make phone calls to kind of get this thing moving. I've already secured a foursome at Glendora Country Club that will be one of our raffle prizes. So that's a $500 value. And we're not looking for those are great, but $25 here, $50 there, whatever we can get to make this fun and make people feel like they got a good bang for their buck will be great. So please let me know if you have any ideas or anything I can assist with.
Hey, Steve,
Uh,
can I add some stuff to that?
please do.
So what we're going to support military wise is what's called JT's Uniform Shop at the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center in 29 Palms. Provides the junior enlisted Marines and Navy corpsmen with free regulation uniforms to stay mission ready. For those of you who don't know, the average Marine will spend about $500 a year buying and replacing equipment the government does not replace because it wears out, they lose it. And so this for the especially E5 and below, they can get two pieces of uniform equipment or one piece of dress blue per month, which is a really big deal for them. They were given that JT uniform shop has been given a much larger space by the commanding general of the base. And so that will the money we're going to raise is going to be used to put in shelving and changing rooms and things like that. So it becomes a much more upscale operation on the base for those 10,000 Marines out there and 1,000 sailors. Also at that event, we had 8 sponsorships at the $500 level. That's to sponsor one of the lanes. You get your business name is on that. You'll get shout outs during the event. And you get one entry for one team entry plus that, and you can donate your team entry to veterans who we will go out and get veterans to come play or to active duty Marines. If I get enough sponsorships for active duty Marines, the base has agreed to send a van load down to the Laverne Brewery Company to play cornhole with us. So that's everything. And again, the link at the Facebook page takes you directly to Chamber Master in the Chamber of Commerce. You can register and you can pay online for both a sponsorship and a team. And so for those, anybody needs that information, give me a call. That's it.
Excellent.
That's all
Thanks very much, Raymond. Appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions about the event? Anything they'd like to comment on? Okay. Anything else, Raymond, that we have with respect to Action 360?
Yeah, well, before that, we've got the food drive on August 23rd coming up. The kickoff party is on August 21st. So we need donation boxes are going out in the community right now, and they're getting some traction. If you'd like a donation box in your business, and I'd like to, if you're going to be able to volunteer, especially on that day, or to help transport food on the following Monday. So that's coming up. Then we have the cornhole tournament, and following that is the wellness fair. I know lots of Rotarians involved in that. Marilyn, you want to talk about the wellness fair?
We'd be happy to. So Saturday, September 27th, the city of San Dimas has their annual Running Scared 5K. The chamber is expanding that event to include a wellness fair, and that doesn't mean just physical health. There are eight pillars of wellness that does include physical, but Raymond, I might need your help. Emotional, intellectual, social, spiritual, financial, physical,
Occupational,
occupational, and environmental. Thank you.
environmental.
So
Well done.
this is a free event for attendees. If you'd like to be a vendor, it's free to chamber members, and we're going to open it up to other businesses in the area Friday or Monday. Financial is already closed. We're full in that category, as is physical. But there are other categories available. Perhaps Rotary would like to be part of the social. Um, and yeah, we hope to see you all there Saturday, September 27th, early in the morning.
So there
Excellent.
are eight dimensions, and we're allowing five in each category. Now that's 40 vendors. I think we're probably well over 20, correct, Marilyn, already? And so it's going to be there'll be at least 500 runners last year, plus all the spectators, plus all the vendors. It's a great event for anybody who'd like to come out and enjoy that. Anything that we're missing on that, Sylvia, we need to talk about? The next event coming up that many of us are working on is the Beer and Wine Walk, which comes up in October 4th, I think. Dominic, I know are you hiding out? Can you say something about beer and wine? Or just beer, maybe?
Sorry, I'm in the middle of driving. My keg machine decided to not work, so I took too long at my other office. No, Beer Wine Walk is gonna be fantastic. We already obviously released the theme this year, which is something that people have been asking for, which we're excited about. It'll be the standard like 9 to 10 breweries that we can get out there. A couple new guys have opened up, so I'll go out and have a little conversation with them and see what we get going. As far as vendors are going, that's been going fantastic. We are looking for food vendors. So if there's anything that anybody knows somebody that wants that is an actual like licensed food vendor, please reach out to the chamber so that way we can get those guys in there also because we like to spread food across the whole thing for the purpose of safety. We'd like to have people not just drinking beer and wine, but also eating something. And then there's also water stations, and then there'll be for the designated drivers something also. So, but yeah, if you guys have anything like that, we'd love to hear about it. Other than that, everything else is going great.
And one more thing on that, just very briefly, because I love this so.
What's that?
And that's all I got to say about that. I won't show you the whole thing, but I think that's kind of cute. So that is Beer and Wine Walk is coming up October 4th. And then lastly, November 10th is the Marine Corps dinner, which will be at Life Pacific University. It is the 5th annual dinner, which falls on the 250th anniversary of the founding of the Marine Corps. I've already sold 22 tickets. I got a phone call yesterday, and he said to me, I'm a chosen Marine. I want to be there. How do I get there? And I said, do you mean you were at the Battle of the Chosin Reservoir? And he said, that's right. I'm a Chosin Marine. If you don't know about the Battle of the Chosin Reservoir in the Korean War, man's 94 years old. He's in a wheelchair, and he says this is going to be his last Marine Corps birthday. He's excited. And I know San Dimas Heroes has already bought out two tables. So get your tickets. And we also need to drum up some sponsorships. But that's going to be a great event. 200 seats, Life Pacific University. That's November 10th. So that's all I got that's coming up, but that's a lot, I think.
It's an incredible amount of stuff we have going on. I was just sitting here thinking, looking at the, however many people we have in here, 10, 11-ish people, and the list of things that you just kind of ran off, Raymond, that we are involved in, that we have our hands in. Pretty amazing that a club of this size has our hands on so many things and makes such an impact in the community. It's, I think, why we are Rotarians, and why we like to do what it is that we do here. So thank you all for all of the work. Raymond, thank you especially for the work you did to get the Google advertisement. That's just incredible, and I can't wait to see what that turns into for us as a club and for the community. Does anybody else have anything they would like to bring up before we finish the meeting?
Before we go out, we did miss 2026 because about everybody here is working on that. And if you're not a part of that, we're at $46,000 now in committed money. And so at the Monday's meeting, we hope to have the drone show guy there to finalize some details. I wasn't comfortable in signing the contract as was presented, so I sent it back to him for some additions and some more some more details really. But that committee is doing great work, and Doran is the chair of that. Anything you want to say, Doran? I know that
Yeah, we're working hard. I mean, the good news is we're halfway there. The challenging news is we're only halfway there. So it's, glass half full, glass half empty. But really appreciate everybody's help with the 2026 event. It has felt like it's a long ways away, and guess what? We're on the countdown now. It's going to be here before we know it. So continuing to look for sponsors to be part of this really once in a generation, or kind of once in a generation event. Some of us will make it to the next one, some of us may not. But in any case, it's going to be big. It's going to be really big. You want to be a part of it. So thanks.
Thanks, Doran. And Raymond, quickly, you have me down as a sponsor for the Marine Corps dinner, right?
I do not, but I will put you down
Oh,
now, Steve.
excellent.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Took a load off there right there. Very good. You want to see the
There
calendar?
you go. Yes, please. That would be fantastic.
Okay, so our next meeting will be this on the 30th. Will be an event planning meeting, and that's basically looking at the food drive, and we can throw in cornhole if you'd like to, Steve. But that's what
Sure.
that's set for. After that, our next speaker is Sergeant Steve Ham of the Space Force, the real Space Force. And then we had a board meeting. Our next guest is Mike Monroe, and then we've got him all the way through October. So we're looking pretty good. Everybody, please put on your calendar September 17th. That's our district governor's meeting. That will be via Zoom. It's important to Mike during his year as president for us to be here to support him. That's all I have in the calendar.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Raymond. And as we do at the end of every meeting, let's talk about the four-way test. Raymond, do you have that?
If you give me 10 seconds. That's the one thing I didn't bring up. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, here it is. And there you go. Here it comes. So
Excellent.
I guess
Thank you very much.
you want me to read that
Yeah,
for
go right
everybody?
ahead.
Sure, of all
Please.
the things, this is the four-way test at the end of every Rotary meeting. In fact, of all the 32,000 clubs in every time zone in the world and the 1.4 million members who meet at least every other week, they are all at the end of their meetings talking about this. Of all the things we say and do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And that is the four-way test.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody, for attending today. Lisa, thank you for your presentation and for sticking around for the rest of the meeting. We really appreciate that. Hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the week, and we will see you all next Wednesday.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank